Hello, hello, hello. It's Julie Creffield here from the Fat Girl's Guide to Running. It is 8:30. I'm just going to take a few moments to let people join. And I'm going to see if I can. I don't think I can. I was going to see if I could copy and paste this link into the event group so that just in case anybody can't find it. So let's just have a look, see if it's showing. If it's showing, I can do it. Technology, don't you? Oh, yes, it is. There we go. Look, let's go. Can I share it? Yes, share. Sorry, one moment. Share to. I'm not sure that I can. Okay, I'm hoping that my lovely assistant Sharon is going to be able to do this for me. I'm just going to pop into, sorry for all of this, ladies. I just want to make sure that everybody who said they wanted to come was here. So I'm just going to jump into the group and just tell people that we are live on the main page. Okay, so I'm just going to type that. We are live on the main page. Okay, so that is us done, I think. I'm hoping, yes, we've got people here. Hi, Susan. Hi, Sarah. Rachel. Brilliant that you can be here. I'm going to leave it just a few moments for people to find us. We're only 2 minutes in, and then I'm going to start officially. So for those of you who've not been on a Facebook Live like this, it is literally just me talking, but hopefully you guys will engage too. So the Fat Girl's Guide to Running Facebook page has 22,500 women on it. However, the way that Facebook works, it means that most of those women never get to see the stuff that they've signed up for unless I pay huge amounts of money in marketing stuff. I'm never going to do that. So I rely on you guys to say how wonderful this stuff is. And the more you like and love my stuff and send comments, the more other women will see on this page. So do that. And if you can see the option of sharing this onto your page, then feel free to do it, because this webinar is for everybody. Initially I was thinking it's just for women. No, I think men need to hear this shit too. Okay, so I'm still waiting on a few more people. We had about 100 people say they were going to join, so I am really relaxed about it. If we have 10 fantastic women, I will be happy with that. We've got 20 joining us live at the moment. I am going to get started in 2 minutes, so you won't hear me waffling on like this, and I'm going to share with you the biggest life lesson I've ever learned. And I know that sounds ultra dramatic, but come on, this is me we're talking about. So do in the comments, and I can see the comments. Sometimes I do these and I can't see the comments. So I'm really glad that I can. Hi, Helen. Do say hello. Do say whereabouts in the country you are. Hi, Rebecca. How are your legs? So Rebecca just did the London Marathon. So yeah, say where you're calling in from, maybe how long you've been a fan of the Fat Girl's Guide to Running. And as we go through the webinar, feel free to put your comments on the stuff that I'm talking about, because, you know, I'm actually researching stuff at the moment and I really want to get your take on it, because maybe I'm just making all this stuff up. Maybe this is not the biggest life lesson for women, and maybe it's just the biggest life lesson for me. So where are we? We've still got loads of lovely ladies joining us. Hi from Barking. Oh, down the road in Barking, we've got a brilliant 2 Fat to Run program going on in Barking. It's fantastic. So just going to leave just a few more moments for people to join us, and I know that a lot of people will be watching this on the catch up. So again, any comments, any views that you want to share, I'm sure I'll use them in kind of things coming up. Hi, Annette, Claire. Oh, brilliant. Loads of familiar faces in here. This is awesome. Super, super, super excited. Right, breathe, Julie, breathe, Julie. So this is not scripted. I have some notes here and here just to keep me on track. But I want to share some stuff from my heart, because the last few months for me, anybody that's been following what's been going on in my life, particularly Clubhouse members, you've been kind of involved in all of this, there's been some pretty shitty things happening. And I would say the last 3 months, maybe like 8 or 9 weeks, of my life have been the most challenging ever. And listen, I'm the girl that got made redundant 4 times in 10 years, found herself a single parent, about to lose her home. Like, I've had some real kind of shitty times in my life, but actually the stress that I've been under the last 9 weeks, 8-9 weeks, you would not believe it. But I am a big believer, and I don't know if you guys are, I'm a massive believer that everything happens for a reason. Now, this doesn't matter if you're religious or spiritual or whatever, but every kind of bad thing that's ever happened in my life, a few years later, I'm a bit like, yeah, that had to happen for me to get to where I am now. And the things that have happened recently have absolutely shaped it. So for anybody that's missed some of the crap that's been going on, I'm not going to go into the detail of it because I'm over it now. But there was, I don't know, 8 weeks ago, beginning of February, I think it was, a massive incident with a big sports brand where basically I got bullied and had a whole heap of abuse thrown at me and had to kind of justify my existence. And it cut me to the core, and I don't mean that in a dramatic way. I cannot explain to you how upset that made me. I had days where I could not get out of bed. For 5 days, my daughter went to school late because I just could not get out of bed. Couldn't stop crying. I had physical symptoms. I got cold sores. My jaw moved. My teeth moved. Like, my jaw bloody moved. I've still got a trapped nerve from the amount of tension and stress that I was under. And, you know, I'm over it now. I've dealt with it. It's done. However, I've learned, and just the most poignant life lesson I could ever learn. And I will never go back to that place where I let an individual or a group of individuals or a brand or anybody make me feel that shit again. So it's given me lots to think about. And, you know, I'm a real believer in the universe, you know, the power of the universe, law of attraction, and that you attract things into your life that you need. And clearly I must have needed that at some point, because everything is fitting together now. And for those of you that don't know, I'm about to do a TEDx talk in June. And when I applied for the TEDx talk, I had a rough idea of what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the stuff that I talk about, you know, plus size fitness, the way women are judged, living a bigger life, all that kind of stuff. And when I made my application, it was a bit of a wishy-washy thing. It was, you know, I'm Julie Creffield, I'm a plus size marathon runner, and I think this. But I didn't really know what I wanted to talk about. Now I absolutely 100% know what I want to talk about, and it's the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you this evening, because I've got a bee in my bonnet about it, and I am just so passionate. I've sat here this week writing blog posts and emails and social media stuff to come out this week and next week, because I'm just so rattled by it all. I'm just so rattled. So I'm going to stop harping on. Hi, Linda. Don't worry, you're not late. I'm just getting started. So yeah, just a quick reminder, anything that I say that resonates with you, do comment, like, heart, whatever the stuff is, just so I feel like I'm not talking to myself, because it's a bit of an odd thing. I'm sitting in my front room with a light on me, speaking to the world. It's odd. It's very, very odd. As I said, I believe everything happens for a reason, and that the lessons that I've learned in the last few months are lessons that I should have learned, God, 30 years ago. I'm approaching 40. I'm going to be 40 in June. And you know, at big milestone years, you do reflect on your life. And I just think, you know, often people kind of ask me about, you know, so what's your big thing, Julie? You know, you talk about plus size fitness, and what is it? Is it about weight loss, or is it about improved mental health? What is it? And it comes down to this one thing. I spent 20 years of my life trying not to be fat. You know, before I started doing all of the 2 Fat to Run stuff and the running, I spent 20 years of my life trying to be smaller, trying to make this body, the body that I live in, physically smaller. And I battled. You know, when people say they battled with their weight, I've battled. And I just think the things that I've achieved in the last 4 years with no weight loss, you know, my body is still the same size that it was after I had my daughter, pretty much. There's not much change. I've still managed to do some incredible things without being slim, you know, without being slim. So there is this kind of, there is this kind of undercurrent, I think, and this kind of rising of women at the moment. You know, maybe it's because it's the I can't even say the word, the centenary of the vote. Maybe it's that. Maybe, you know, women are waking up to the inequalities of this world, you know, and kind of, you know, not just kind of affluent, kind of right on women, but everybody's just had enough. Like this dream that we can have it all. We can't have it all, you know, we can't. And what we're looking for is a little bit more fairness. And I think it starts with us. It starts with us just saying no more. No more. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to battle with myself as well as battle with the world and do all the stuff I have to do in my life. So my big lesson, I'm not going to drag it out. My big lesson, and I've written it down here just to be clear, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but it resonates so much with me, is that other people's opinions of you are nowhere near as important as your opinion of yourself. Okay, I'll say that again. Other people's opinions of you are nowhere near as important as your opinions of yourself. Now, this goes back to everything that I've ever done with the 2 Factor Run movement. You know, Sport England came out with this research that said 2 million fewer women play sport than men because of the fear of judgment. So women are missing out on health, on mental health, on social, on all of these things that sport can give to them because they're worried about what people think. And I can guess that most women, whether they're fat or slim or whatever size they are, most of that judgment is about how we look. You know, it could be that we're too tall, too thin, got wobbly bits, out of proportion, big boobs, whatever it is, that is the crux of what most women bloody think about all of the time. You know, and I'm not immune to it. I'm not saying that I'm, you know, I don't give a shit what people think about me. Of course I do. Of course I do. But I tell you what, I care less now than what I did a few months ago, because that lesson of having somebody else ruin my life over my fear of what they might think of me, not happening again. So I've been thinking about, you know, where does this come from? And, you know, who as a kid was told sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. It's rubbish. Words did hurt us as kids. And actually it starts in the playground. You know, I've got a daughter who's 5 who comes home and says, so-and-so didn't talk to me today. And they said this and they said that, you know, and you put kind of 10 years of that, 20 years of that, 30 years of letting other people's stuff into your head. So you've already got your own little stories, and then you let other people's stuff in there too. And actually, last week I went to this thing in Barking and Dagenham. It was a thing for young people, and it was about inspiring them to believe more in themselves. That's what it was about, really. And they had all these business mentors who were there to talk to the young people about what they did and stuff like that. Really cool event, really enjoyed it. But one thing really struck a chord was these young people, we talked about bullying, but not like bullying like get beaten up in the playground or having your dinner money taken. We're talking about that kind of insidious day in, day out, and the kids call it banter. So it's not, you know, they don't even think that it's bullying. It's just this undercurrent of, I don't feel confident or good about myself, so I'm going to make you feel really shit, you know. And it's this kind of battle of wills. And there was a young boy that stood up, they were all 14, but this little boy, he was really short, and he got up and he was talking about his experiences, and he broke down in front of, you know, 100 other young people. He cried and said, you know, I get bullied every day because of my height, and, you know, it affects every aspect of my life. I go home, I can't talk to my parents about it. You know, my dad tells me just to man up, and all of this kind of stuff. And the amount of girls, nearly every girl that stood up and spoke said that she gets called fat at school. You know, that is how early it starts. And there has to be a solution. There has to be a way of this not happening to the next generation of women. And actually next week you'll see a blog post about this, about the fact that in the UK, the average woman is on a diet for 31 years of her life. 31 years. And actually, absolutely, I buy that, because I know that I work with women who are exactly in that place. Women in their 50s and 60s that are still dieting, still trying to be smaller than what they are. And when I asked the question in the clubhouse a few months ago about when they started dieting, so many women started dieting before they'd even hit 16. So their mum or their auntie or somebody had taken them along to Weight Watchers or Slimming World or you know, doing slim fast, all of those things, being put on a diet, being told that you're not good enough in the body that you are. And most of us, look, Claire, 31 years. Yeah, you know, 31 years. It's shocking, absolutely shocking. What could we be doing as women, not just personally, but as a collective? What could we be doing in those 31 years rather than, you know, obsessing about food, calories, points, exercise, you know? And the thing is, I'm not saying that we shouldn't care about our health. We should absolutely care about our health, but not to the detriment of everything else. So yeah, you know, let us know in the comments, when did you go on your first diet, you know? And do you think, looking back, if you know now what you, if you knew then, if you know what I mean. But you know, when I look back at photos of me at 13 and 14, I wasn't overweight. I was very, very tall, but I wasn't overweight. And I can't remember ever getting any kind of positive messages about my body as a teen. No one told me that my body was okay, that it was fine, that it was more than okay. So I guess, you know, what do we do about it? What do we do about it? How do we stop our daughters, our nieces, you know, the generation behind us coming up and having exactly the same experience? And probably even worse, you know, if you look at kind of social media, the kids these days have got it worse. So how do we change it? And I think we have to be the ones to change it. We absolutely have to be the ones to change it, because the biggest influences in our kids' lives are us, you know, and not just our kids. You know, there might be women who don't have kids, but, you know, young girls look up to older women. I can remember my role models, my teachers at school, my aunties, you know, so it wasn't just my mum. I looked up to other women too. And it seemed like everybody was on a diet. So what message does that give to kids? That fat is the worst thing you could possibly be. You know, we've got to stop. We have to be the change that we want to see. We absolutely have to. So I want to give you some kind of practical steps and practical tips and things that I think are useful in navigating this stuff. And, you know, I go back to that thing of caring so much about what other people think. You know, so many of us want to lose weight because we feel like we don't fit in, or we're the biggest in our group, or, you know, there are all these things that are actually not about us. They're not about our own health and happiness. Because I think if everybody said, right, I am going to eat and exercise and sleep and do self-care according to how healthy and happy I feel, rather than how many calories I can burn, how much weight I can lose, and all of that. And if we defined ourselves based on those principles, the majority of us would shrink down a bit. That's basically my opinion, not based on any science, but based on my opinion. So what are the three things? So look, Sarah says, I'm a teacher in an all-girls school. I have to do something. We're in such a powerful position as women, particularly teachers. We're in such a powerful position to own our own space and to be awesome in whatever size body we're in. That's the thing. It's not about getting down to what is considered a healthy size. It's not about that. It's about living your best life in the body that you're currently in. So 3 things that I think that we can do as women, things that we can start tomorrow. I think firstly, when people attack you, and I have been attacked on social media, you know, by running brands, by other fitness kind of people who attack me, and, you know, doctors that tell me, you know, that my fatness is bad for my health and all of these kind of things. And, you know, often when people attack you, it's got nothing to do with you, it's got to do with them. And I often make a joke when I'm giving talks that the only people that are offended by the 2 Fat to Run brand are slim women. You know, and I really shouldn't throw stones, but the irony is, it is normally slim women that come up to me and go, that's a bit rude. And actually on the morning of the marathon, and Sharon, my assistant, will bear witness to this, because she was there was this woman, very slim, petite woman, that come over to our store, at the 2 Fat to Run store at the marathon, and said, that's very fat shaming. And apparently she'd done a PhD in weight management, and she stood there for close to 40 minutes telling me why my whole business was, what was the word she used? Stigmatizing. My whole business was stigmatizing to fat people. And I was like, listen, love, I've lived in a fat body my whole life. I've spent the last 5 years working with fat women. I think I know a thing or two about it. And she was so irate. She was shaking with rage. And often I find slim women who are angry at me for what I do, and men that are angry that I dare be confident and happy in my own body, you know, without feeling a desire to change for them. So the thing with that is it's often their stuff, not yours. So when you get attacked, a great way of deflecting it is going, that's their stuff, not mine. And I do it in business all the time. You know, sometimes I post stuff and women get really angry because it's not a view that they have. And I know next week on Sunday, I've got some posts going up that are quite provocative, and they're going to say, when you're going to stop dieting. And I can guarantee you I will get some emails that go, who are you to tell me to stop dieting? I've been on Slimming World and it works. It's a lifestyle and all of that stuff. And, you know, I am just sharing my view. If you are happy dieting, go for it. You know, I am not going to kind of, you know, demonize you. We all have to make our own choices. But often we trigger people, and often our happiness, you know, you can go about your life being really, really happy, and then someone wants to bring you down. That's to do with them. It's not to do with you. So having that phrase in your head is a really useful thing. It's their stuff. It's not your stuff. Number 2 is a little bit more challenging. If you find yourself consistently being attacked for the same things, or people calling you the same names, or telling you you're the same thing. So, you know, if people are, you know, take it out of the kind of fat sphere, for example. So say somebody is always saying to you, you're selfish, or you're bossy, or you never listen. It's very easy to go, look, that's their stuff, you know, and be like wrong and strong. Sometimes you have to sit back and go, look, 4 or 5 people have said this to me now. Am I bossy? Am I, not willing to listen to other people's kind of views? And then there's something around saying, and am I willing to change? So if people are having a go at you because you're overweight and it upsets you, it's upsetting you because it's triggering you. If you're completely happy with your body, it doesn't matter how many times you get called fat, it wouldn't hurt you. I mean, the hurt that comes with somebody calling you fat is often because they're trying to insult you. It's not actually the phrasing, because the easiest thing to do to insult a woman is to call her fat. So have a think about kind of how you can go, hang on a second, am I getting upset about this because I am genuinely upset and I want to make some changes in my life? Because it's okay to get upset. You know, I'm not saying we need to kind of build a wall around us and never kind of let any of it in, because sometimes, and a prime example of this is my whole journey really with this running stuff started when I did a race back in 2005, I think it was, and some kids shouted out, run fatty run. And you know what, at that time I was in my 20s, I was in complete denial about my size. I was a size 22, and I can't remember how much I weighed, probably close to 20 stone. And I was only 23 or 24. I was in complete denial about my health. I knew I was a big girl. You can't be that size and not know. But I didn't really realise to what extent. And actually, it was the wake-up call that I needed in terms of my health. So sometimes when you do get attacked, sometimes you can just stand back and go, okay, is this a wake-up call? Is this something that I need to work on? Is it something I'm willing to change? And then number 3, and this is my favorite one, I think I'm going to try and incorporate this into my TED talk because I just love it. So I think to kind of navigate your way through life, and I think this is something that I'm going to teach my daughter Rose, is that you have to go through your life living it the way you want to. Okay, sometimes you have to do little compromises for family and partners and kids and stuff like that. But, you know, we come into this life by ourselves and we go out of it by ourselves. And it should be one heck of a journey, you know. And yes, we go on that journey with other people, but ultimately our life is about us, and there's nothing wrong with being selfish. So I've got kind of like, I don't know if it's a metaphor or a kind of way of kind of visualizing this, is I think we need to go through life, and bear with me on this. I think we need to go through life in one of those Zorbin balls, you know, one of those big inflatable plastic balls that you get inside, you strap yourself in and you roll down a mountain. And it doesn't matter what you come into contact with down that mountain. It could be a sharp rock, it could be a glass bottle, it could be whatever. Nothing is going to hurt you and nothing is going to ruin the fun that you intend to have. So I love this idea of placing an imaginary Zorb ball, you know, that just repels all the bullshit, you know, all the blokes that shout mean things, all the comments your mum makes when you go round, all the stuff your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, you know, all of the stuff you read in the papers, all the crap that serves just to bring you down. Don't let it in. Don't let it in. Be focused on the things that make you happy and just go for it. Yes. So there we have it. Those are the things that I really wanted to share with you. So as I said, next Sunday is International No Diet Day. I'm actually not going to be in the country because I think some of you may know this. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I am boarding a plane to go to San Diego in California to see one of my kind of idols, my role model, a lady called Lisa Nichols, who some of you may know. She features in the book and the film The Secret. She is a very kind of motivational, kind of evangelical life coach and speaker. And I am going to her conference because something just drew me to her. I mean, I've been reading one of her books on audiobook, and her story is not that dissimilar to me. I mean, she's a black woman, multimillionaire, very religious. I am none of those things. But there was something about her stuff that I was like, I want to go and see that woman live. So that is what I'm doing. I'm following my dream. I love to travel. I love to learn, and I love to kind of share kind of things with you. So tomorrow morning I'm heading off there, and I'm away for 5 days. So a lot of the stuff that you'll see in the next few days, I've written today and will be pushed out. So on Sunday, you're going to see lots of stuff around no dieting. So I would love for you guys to share some of that and to kind of engage. So yeah, I just want to kind of remind you of that stat. You know, the average woman in the UK will spend 31 years of her life on a diet. I am not going on another diet in my life. You've heard that here first. I have been anti-diet for probably the last few years, but I tell you what, every now and again something will pop up and I think, oh, I wonder if, you know, these shake things, or I see people have success on Slimming World or Weight Watchers, and I think, you know, I had a little bit of kind of vegan, you know, a plant-based diet, always with this thing of maybe this will be the thing. And actually what I've decided is I just need to accept me. This is the body that I'm probably going to live in, and if it's not, then so be it. But, you know, I've lived in this shaped body for most of my adult life, and it served me well, and I'm in good health, and I'm reasonably confident, and it enables me to do most of the things that I want to do in my life. So we have to be the change, ladies. We have to be the change. So I'm quickly, because I know, goodness me, we're flying through this. I want to open up for some Q&A in a little while. But before you do that, I want to tell you about 3 things that I'm doing to be the change, okay? Now, some of you might be thinking, Julie, I know you through running stuff, and now all of a sudden you're doing this other stuff that's much more about life coaching, and that is true. And the reason being is I've been doing the running stuff for a while now, 4 or 5 years. It's difficult. It's a tough market. I get lots of slack from both sides. I get slack from women going, running should be free. You're capitalizing on overweight women's grief, and it should be cheaper. I can't afford it, and all of that stuff on the one hand. And then on the other hand, I have like the government agencies, the brands, all the diet companies, all trying to get something from me for free as well. It's bloody hard work, and it was, you know, I'm so passionate about this work, but I can't give it all away for free. So for me to do the work that I want to do in empowering women, both in sports and in other ways, I had to find other income streams. In the clubhouse, which is our online running club, women, it's the best community ever. I tell you, I adore the women in that group, because yes, we talk about running. I would say 60% of what we talk about is running and fitness related. The other 40% is life stuff. And, you know, with women come into the clubhouse, and we form these bonds and these relationships, and women post about struggles that they're having. And I want to help. That's, you know, I want to help. I want to provide support and systems and processes and tips and tricks to help those women. But the context of the clubhouse is not the place for it. It's not. So a few women were saying, so Julie, can I work with you one-to-one? Would you be my life coach? Or do you do a program that's not about running? And often I'll go to like speaking gigs, and I'll speak to a real mixed audience, and women will come up to me and say, Julie, I loved your talk. It was inspirational, but I'm not fat and I don't like running, but I want to work with you. And I had nothing to offer them. So over the last 18 months, I've been testing and trialing a life coaching program called Living a Bigger Life. Originally, it wasn't called that. It was called Big Fat Stupid Goals. I've changed it. It's now called Living a Bigger Life. And it basically uses all the tools and tips and techniques that I've used, not just in the last few years, but in the last 20 years of my life. Because what some of you won't know is my background before I came into this. I have always worked to help other people improve their lives. I started off working with young people, helping them to make sense of their lives on kind of housing estates and in schools. Then I worked with volunteers during the Olympics, working with older people, working with excluded groups. You know, my work has always been about helping people to understand where they're at, looking forward to goals and helping them achieve their goals. I've always done that. And when I tried to tally up how many people I've probably worked with over the last 20 years, probably close to like 10,000 people at least. So I'm not new to this coaching game. I've been doing it a long while, but I'm now so clear on who I can help the most. So the three things that I'm going to